As the Saints continue their search for their next head coach, former Saints quarterback and future Hall of Fame quarterback in the GOAT, Drew Brees revealed who he wants the New Orleans Saints to hire for their open head coaching job. Drew Brees revealed not just one candidate, but two guys he would want the Saints to hire, one from within the building and within the organization, and another one outside of the Saints building. It's only the first week of this head coaching search for the Saints, and it is only going to heat up in the upcoming weeks. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of it. You're already here. It takes 5 seconds. It's free, helps the channel out a lot. We're on the road to 10K in 2025. 69% of you nice who watch my videos are not subscribed, so just go ahead, subscribe, because this offseason is going to be crazy. And with that, let's see what Drew Brees had to say regarding the Saints head coaching job. We are only 3 days into the Saints head coaching search, but it really feels like a lot longer than 3 days. Obviously, part of that is due to the fact that the Saints fired former head coach Dennis Allen in season after the loss to the Carolina Panthers. However, though, this week just in general feels like it's been longer than usual. And maybe that's because, we're all patiently waiting to see the Saints hire a guy, or because we're all excited to see who this next head coach is, or maybe we're not excited to see who this next head coach is. It's really hard to have any faith in Mickey Loomis to get the right hire, but it's been a long 3 days, and the search is only going to continue for the Saints. To this point, the New Orleans Saints have put in requests to interview with a ton of coaches around the NFL, and have a total of 7 candidates as of right now, Wednesday at 10:30 Pacific time. So 10:30 Pacific time, the Saints have a total of 7 candidates that they are going to interview or have plans to interview for their head coaching job. And those 7 names include Aaron Glenn, Lions defensive coordinator; Kellen Moore, Eagles offensive coordinator; Joe Brady, Bills offensive coordinator; Anthony Weaver, the Dolphins defensive coordinator; Darren Rizzi, we all know who he is; Mike Kafka, the Giants offensive coordinator and assistant head coach; and Mike Vrabel. That very well could expand, but I'm told that's what the team is working with as of today. This was posted yesterday from Jeremy Fowler. So the Saints have a total of 7 candidates as of now, and these are the 7 guys. Some of you are going to ask, who I prefer to be head coach. I really have 2 guys who I really want the Saints to get, and that's Aaron Glenn and Mike Vrabel. I don't see Mike Vrabel, though, being realistic. They are trying to schedule an interview with him. They're still figuring that out. Aaron Glenn is supposed to meet with the team on Friday virtually. But outside of that, I really don't have like a rankings. I don't know a ton about all of these guys. I know Joe Brady's a popular one. I'd be interested to see what he could do. Kellen Moore is interesting. Anthony Weaver, I wouldn't be mad at. Mike Kafka, I'm not a fan of. But, I think them interviewing him is just showing that they're open to doing a widespread search of head coaching candidates. That's the positive way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, why are you interviewing the Giants offensive coordinator? He was the Chiefs QB coach and part of that staff from 2017 to 2020, I believe. He surely had a little bit of help in, drawing up plays in the development of Patrick Mahomes. He has an okay resume there, but I don't know, just not a big fan of that one. We all know Darren Rizzi. So of this list, really Aaron Glenn and Mike Vrabel are the only 2 guys who I really want the Saints to get. Everyone else, I'm open-minded to seeing who they would hire. I think overall it's a solid list. It's a wide search. It isn't, a consistent theme, kind of like the last head coaching search. These are guys from different teams, different schemes, no correlation, no relationship to the Saints, at least some of them. I like that they're doing a lot of homework and a lot of research into different candidates. I'm not mad at the list, and it's only going to get bigger, but as of now, these are the 7 guys. And when it comes to these interviews, the Saints will be interviewing Aaron Glenn on Friday, Mike Kafka on Thursday, Anthony Weaver today, Darren Rizzi and Mike Vrabel, I believe, next week, and the other ones haven't really been reported yet. Now, there have been some misreports on some other possible candidates that the Saints are looking into. Just last night, it was reported that the Saints were going to be looking into Broncos QB coach Davis Webb, according to Jordan Schultz, but Nick Underhill debunked that, saying they have not requested to interview Davis Webb, the Broncos QB coach. And also, David Shaw was another name. The Broncos personal executive was rumored and reported to be interviewing for the Saints job, but Nick Underhill added that the Saints never even considered interviewing him at any point, and he will not be interviewing for the Saints head coaching opening. So those are two guys. It's a little funny how both those guys are from the Broncos, like David Shaw and Davis Webb, both from the Broncos, both on the Sean Payton staff, both reported that the Saints were going to interview, and then Nick Underhill comes in and kind of debunks those reports. Kind of interesting that happened. So maybe you saw a report or something that they were going to talk to these guys. Those are false. And obviously last week there was reports that the Saints could be interested in Matt Nagy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys head coach. His contract is up, although they did reject the Bears from interviewing him, so that could be an indication that Mike McCarthy is staying. But if he became available, the Saints would definitely interview him. And John Gruden is another guy who the Saints could possibly look into, but those three names have not been reported to be interviewed by the Saints as of this week. So the Saints have 7 names. There's some rumors and false reports out there, but those 7 names are the guys that the Saints plan on interviewing as of right now. And I'm sure the search will expand once they can talk to more people. The rules with the playoffs and everything kind of prevent them from talking to some guys. They can't talk in person until a certain date and such, so I'm sure it will expand in the upcoming weeks, but a solid group of names right here. The Saints head coaching search is the #1 priority for this team right now. They must get this hire right. Nothing else really is important to talk about when it comes to this team until they hire the head coach, because you can't talk about players who to keep and who to not keep until the head coach is hired. You can't really talk about the draft. You can until the head coach is hired, until you kind of hear what he wants to do with this team. The Saints must get this right, and former Saints quarterback, future Hall of Famer, the GOAT, Drew Brees, chimed in and gave his thoughts and opinions on the Saints head coaching search and endorsed 2 coaches for the Saints head coaching job. Chrissy Freud said she talked to Drew Brees yesterday on the state of the Saints and their head coaching search. He named Aaron Glenn as his top pick for the head coach. Glenn served as the defensive back coach for the Saints from 2016, 2020, and when DA was hired in 2022, Aaron Glenn was the runner-up. He was really the only other guy the Saints considered. There's an article about it, and here's what Drew Brees had said. Drew Brees' pick for who should be the next Saints head coach, a position he says should be highly sought out after job. He would be my top pick right now, Drew Brees told Chrissy Freud last week regarding Aaron Glenn, and it didn't take him a long time to come to that conclusion either. The first guy who comes to my mind is Aaron Glenn, Drew Brees said, arguably one of the greatest defensive backs to ever play the game. I played against him. I was a teammate of his too. He's a leader of men. He garners a ton of respect. He knows the game. He is highly competitive. And outside of Glenn's pure coaching abilities, his methods, and what he brings just as a person and with ideas of how to build for success appealed greatly to Drew Brees, which, I mean, that's kind of important. If anyone knows how to win and have success, it's Drew Brees. Drew Brees also continued, he's great interacting with players and as an exceptional teacher. Brees continued, I think he would put together a great staff as well that will come out and continue to insinuate New Orleans currently has in the locker room with his talent. I mean, this makes sense. Drew Brees doesn't really know too many of the other guys, so I think Aaron Glenn is a guy who I think he was gonna pick. He played with him, like he said, and then Aaron Glenn was a coach for the Saints when Drew Brees was playing still, so it kind of makes sense that his favorite would be Aaron Glenn. He doesn't really have a relationship with the other guys, but also too, I think Aaron Glenn is probably the best coach of the guys who the Saints have interviewed, and one of the best candidates in this head coaching search. Not only did Drew Brees name Aaron Glenn as his top candidate for the Saints to hire, that was outside the building, but she also asked him who he would hire in-house if the Saints were to hire someone within the building, and he said that his pick would be Clint Kubiak because he loves his offense. Not a big fan of this response from Drew Brees, but it's an endorsement. I don't think we saw enough from Clint Kubiak this season to say like he should be a head coach. The second half adjustments and second half struggles all season were an issue. Granted though, his offense was basically a preseason offense for 80% of the season with preseason players, not the best roster and depth. But still, I don't think Clint Kubiak should be considered for a head coach, but that's what Drew Brees had to say. And I honestly don't think Clint Kubiak will be considered for the Saints head coaching job, but I find it kind of interesting that Drew Brees mentioned him as his personal in-house favorite as opposed to maybe like Darren Rizzi. I'm pretty sure Darren Rizzi was around when Drew Brees was playing, so that's pretty interesting as well. But as for Aaron Glenn, getting the Drew Brees endorsement is pretty huge. Drew Brees is a winner. He knows how to win. And him saying that he believes Aaron Glenn could be the right guy for the Saints right now is a pretty big statement. Let me know what you make of Drew Brees' comments regarding who he wants as the next Saints head coach. Do you agree with him that Aaron Glenn should be the top choice for the Saints? Let me know down in the comments below. I appreciate it. If you made it this far, subscribe to my channel, road to 10K. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.